video where I'm going to go over my prep against the Blackmar-Diemer Gambit. It's an extremely rare gambit. It definitely screams blitz chess. When you see it, you're going to go, yeah, that looks like something you'd play in like 1 minute. There's no point to that. Usually, you know, whatever there's some sort of sketchy opening, if you totally dismiss it altogether, you're not going to do as well. So what I'd like to try to do is like make a case for it, and then usually I can like play against it quite a bit better. I did a bit of a deep dive analysis prior to this recording. I got plenty of notes. I'm also going to show the game where it came up over the board first, with some like stockfish annotations, so you can kind of see some like, you know, I don't know, just accurate, meaningful notes. And so we're going to take a look at that. We'll go like this. Here we go. This player's name was Cody. He's 1900. It's his first over-the-board tournament in 2 years. And this is how the game went. It went D4, D5, E4. So after right here, yeah, that's just a free pawn. But is it? Well, he's getting some compensation. You got to go knight to C3. So basically, I guess I should give the overview of the first few moves. Let's do that, and then we'll circle back to the actual game. So here, this, and then here. A practical note is that if you're seeing an opening like this for the first time, you don't want to necessarily take this right away. I regret taking this as soon as I did, especially with how the game went. I was just completely lost by like move 12 or something. So in hindsight, I think I should have just given more serious consideration to like C6 or E6, just based on a degree of humility and being like, I actually don't know this opening, so I don't know what to do. I don't know. So I took it. This is, of course, objectively best. I just didn't have a plan thereafter. And then you got to go knight to C3. Something I learned, didn't know this before. F3 does not work due to E5. When after DX and then queen takes, black is nearly winning that position. All right, so after right here and then this, you go here. Pawn F3. Now you got to take this, allowing for the knight to come in, and this is where it gets tough to figure out. Well, gosh, like now what do I do? You know. So let me first show you how the actual game went, and then we'll circle back to these lines over here. Okay, so this is G45. Both of us had 45 minutes on our clock. In the end, he had 2 seconds on his clock with a 5-second increment, and I beat him in a time pressure scramble. But like I said, he had me on move 12, so there's got to be something to this opening. Let's figure out what that is. Knight takes, and then in this position, right on over yonder, the top moves here are, of course, bishop to G4. This one's nice and natural. You have G6, you have E6, and get this, the top move right here is none other than pawn to C6. Theoretically, anyway. According to Stockfish, it does like pawn to C6 the best. However, if you check the database, statistically, for whatever reason, and I have some theories about this, for whatever reason, the magical move appears to be G6. Black scores consistently the best by a pretty overwhelming margin. You can see it here on the right. We have G6 scoring 65% here among masters, and even amongst the common man players, G6 is scoring just like a teensy tiny bit better over here. But we're certainly not seeing the same results with the, quote, objectively best move, pawn to C6. So my decision is that I'm going to stick with G6 in the future. So after this here, bishop to G4, natural move. Stockfish considers it dubious, and it is now suddenly equal. So that's the thing about sketchy gambits, is that you got to give them some credit. That, you know, it only takes one slip up, and then all of a sudden you don't have the advantage you think you do, and you're in their neck of the woods. After the game, he had like a backpack that he pulled out with a notebook. Like he had a book of this whole gambit and everything. Thought that was kind of interesting. This is the line that Stockfish recommends after like a quick scan of it. So something in this general, you know, ballpark. So let's go ahead and go back to the game here. Bishop to G4, you know, thinking, yeah, I'm going to trade away some pieces. I'm up a pawn. He's clearly going to try to attack me. Sure, that seems like a good idea. And then this move is technically dubious as well. And now things are actually starting to kind of tilt more into white's favor. Just like that on move 6. Holy smokes, this has gone backwards quickly. To retain the advantage, or at least equality, I should have gone bishop to F5. What? How does that make any sense? Here's the line the Stockfish advises. Says we go like this. What is happening? What is live? This is nuts. Oh yeah, no, I totally saw all this during the game. Yeah, no, that was pretty much my thoughts exactly. Totally. What is that? 22 moves out. Yeah, no, that's basically exactly how we think. Okay, so takes right here. He takes like this. I go pawn to c6 now. A little late, but better late than never. Bishop comes up this way to e3. And then, now I go knight to d5. A move which I figured was probably kind of dubious. I just didn't really see a reply to it. But but there's an obvious reply to it. There's bishop to c4. Yikes. Yeah, that's a good move. So now, obviously, I can't move the knight, because then I get, like, checkmated or something. I mean, this just looks dreadful. I guess I'm not getting checkmated, but yeah, I would not want to be playing this out. I mean, what is... Ugh, yeah, that's enough of that. So, obviously, when it goes right here, I'm, you know, poker face. I'm like, whatever. Totally saw that. No big deal. Spoiler alert, didn't see that. And so now I'm like, hold on. You have, like, everything developed. And I definitely don't. Interestingly, the evaluation is still, like, balanced. It's still a balanced position. It's not until later he's technically winning. Stockbridge didn't like castles as much as knight takes for reasons that don't necessarily interest me, so we'll just continue on. Queen to d7. This was the nail in the coffin. I don't know. I thought this move was good. I thought queen d7. I'm protecting right here. I'm opening up my bishop. What move did it like, you ask? It liked the move knight to f6, just retreating the bishop and the knight back to where it was a second ago. Not exactly the type of move that was at the tip of my tongue. I wasn't chomping at the bit to go there. So this is the line it advises. Interestingly, it's suggesting long castle for black quite frequently. Man, this is bananas. So this is supposed to be slight advantage for white. That is just wild. Like, what did I just look at? All right, so queen to d7, apparently big mistake. Rook a to e1, and now at this point I went... He has literally everything developed, and this is not looking amazing. I go right here. It's a dubious move. Again, he has every single one of the pieces out, and his king is developed. He now thought for, I think it was 12 minutes, maybe more. So a significant time to think, you know, in any time control, but especially in G45. I told him after the game, I was like, you know, honestly, I completely agreed with you. I thought that was a great time to, like, go think tank mode and think, because if there's any critical moment where it seems like you should have a breakthrough, it would be now, and indeed it was. He did not make the right choice. He went for the bishop here to d2, but what he should have done, get this, knight to d5. If you're like a super grandmaster and you'd like a fun little warm-up puzzle to start your day, you can give this one a go. I mean, like, it's pretty difficult. It was I mean, you know, he's 1900 and he couldn't find it. I didn't see it over the board. Why is this move good? Let's figure it out. This is an advantage of 4 pawns to do this. Why does this move work? Let's take a look. So here takes and then bishop takes. And so honestly, I didn't really notice this during the game. I was thinking I could go here, which is like, duh. Okay, I can't go here because then they just take this pawn, right? And that's just like awful. So instead then it says you go knight to c6. Okay, but what exactly is the continuation after right here? All right, this is what it's saying you do next. You go like this here check. Okay, so you have an attack this way and an attack this way, but can't I just block it? Not quite because of this. Ah, that's what it is. Game over. Not so, because you have to remember, he did give up a piece for this. So I think now he's down by 1 point. This is a tough, you know, combination to see. Definitely don't, you know, think less of him for not seeing this. You know, I mean, that's tough. That's tough. So you'd have to keep going. You have to see the whole thing. You go like this, queen takes, rook to e8, and now you sack the exchange, kind of Paul Morphy game style. If you know the reference to that one is the opera game. Bishop here to g5, knight to c6. Here grabs, this grabs, and now rook to f8. Whew, only an 8-move combination. Well, even more because you have to go like this. That's, okay, 9 moves he had to see. So, critical moment. He dropped the ball. I got lucky and slipped away. But then I I made a bad move. I went like this. Okay, you're supposed to go castles. I don't know why that was the case. Doesn't interest me a whole lot. I'm not going to see his exact same position again because I'm going to play it differently, so I'll just continue. But, yeah, now the advantage is in his favor again, but it quickly subsides after here. And then it goes right back in his favor after here. Just a couple quality game between a couple quality players. Queen into g4, just back-to-back mistakes. How wonderful. What's happening? I don't know. Not that curious. Rather just continue on for the sake of momentum. B5. Okay, let me talk about this for a bit. I really kind of thought that this would be. Oh no, what happened to my, what happened to my, what happened to my stuff? What happened? No. Did it just do that now? Wait a second. Why is it all screwy? Oh, because I scrolled down. Ah. Whew. Whew. Good thing I caught it now and not at like the 45-minute mark. That would have been tragic. Okay. So a day like this, he goes here, this, here. Pawn to b5. I was thinking I kick away the bishop. I thought it was good. Turns out it's not. f5. I'm just full of bad plans, apparently. He doesn't have the value of a rook. How do I win my games? Pure luck, apparently. I have no idea anymore. Pawn to a4, a blunder. All right, so this was his last chance to win it. Now he had one more. So let's focus on that one, and then we'll talk about how I won. Yay! Pawn to a4, not so great. Pawn a6, another blunder. Supposed to go knight to d7. Okay. Well, after pawn to a6, then he went pawn to c4, which is a mistake, and gives him only a significant advantage of 1 pawn. Okay, this is the way he could have won. Bishop here to g5. All right, what is the merit of this? Well, clearly he's trying to get... Stockfish is advising that he should be trying to get this guy and kick away the rook. But can't the rook just go over here to g6? What's the deal with that, Stockfish? Why can't I just go here? Probably because of g4, right? All right, so rook to f7, grabs, and then here. Yeah. That looks pretty miserable. Okay, no further exploration of that needed. Yeah, that looks terrible for black. Okay, I don't know why he missed it. He did, and now victory shall be mine, more or less. We go here, but this comes back, queen a7 here, pawn c4, knight b4, getting a little knight outpost. Queen to b7, kind of lining up like a discovered attack. Bishop to f4, rook e8. This move, knight to f8. All these question marks and annotations and dubious moves. Remember, you gotta have some thick skin when you review your own games and look at it with Stockfish. I don't know if you knew this, but you might know the first part, but you probably didn't know the second part. If you do a game report with Stockfish, right, an exclamation mark means that it's a good move. Stockfish will never give an exclamation mark, ever. It's only criticism. So you gotta take it with a grain of salt. But no, we definitely did not play all that great this game. But geez Louise, Stockfish is brutal about it. Oh my goodness, another mistake. Whew. How do we even get as good as we are? I have no idea. I go pawn to a5. Both of us are in time pressure now. I believe he had less than a minute. Here, rook to g6. Here takes, this takes, here, and then now he's got another chance to win. He could go let's see here, this, here, knight to b8. This move would have done it. Rook takes f5 straight away. I don't know if he missed that. I feel like I messed the notation there because he saw that later on, so I might have just botched. We weren't notating here, so I had to notate after the fact. So, all right. Well, this is kind of the gist of how I won. It was something like this, and then after taking now I'm just up the exchange, and I just went on to convert it. So, all right. Had a bit of a rough go at it. Obviously, I did not walk away from that game feeling yeah, Blackmar Gambit, just pretty much aced that one every time. No, nothing to worry about there. No, I'm okay, I won, but I mean, it was pure luck. So let's take a look at this and figure out what the heck is the deal with this thing. And that's the reason for the video. Okay, so here, this knight to f6, f3, grabs, and then my choice now for future games is going to be the move g6. Although not the top pick of the engine by 0.2 pawns, this move scores significantly better, especially at higher level play. I'm guessing this is due to the significantly different approach needed by white. Presumably, most players deploying this system like g6 systems, but this theory that I have is in contrast with the fact that they just play the move pawn to d5 on their first move. So to be honest, I'm not fully sure what's going on here. All I know is that this move definitely scores really well. All right. Here then, after g6, they have some different options. What are those different options, you ask? Great question. Stalling. Oh, bishop to g5 is one of them. This is the best move. Okay. Now, if you look at the game history, the openings book here. In fact, why don't I switch layouts, then you can see that one. This one. Yeah, cool. Woo! And we're back. So on the right here, you see, you can use stats to like plan out your openings. Like this whole lead chess opening thing is awesome. Like if you haven't explored it yet, please don't, because then it'll be easier to win. No, like you should look at it. It's a really awesome tool. So you can see what the common man plays, the master plays, and like what you play, everything. It's really cool. All right. So after G6, and then we go with what they play right here. Bishop G5 is not the top move. In fact, you can even get a percentage. It's going to be 14% for the move Bishop to G5. Most players playing here or here, which I address later. But first, I want to get into like their top move. Bishop F4 is also good, but they have to move out the dark square bishop first. Which, I mean, you got to give white some credit. Like, you would not think that it's time to move out the dark square bishop necessarily, right? I mean, why? Like, it really does seem like the bishop should go right here. Our masters, yeah, even master level players are not moving the bishop out here the majority of the time. And when they do, they score worse, I guess. Okay, so bishop here to G5, and then now we go like this, and then queen D2. Castles, they castle queenside. We go here, this, here, and then the magical, wonderful move here for white, which I dare to guess very few players do. I dare to guess that because of research. So that's a nice thing about guessing when you have data in front of you, is it's not really a guess. It's a guess, but I'm pretty sure based on what I'm seeing that not a lot of players are going to realize that you got to go H4. Maybe not. I don't know. But this is the top move that people play. Seems like it's bishop here to H6, and then if you go like this, now pawn to B5, and I said C game. Okay, let's see here. So we got bishop G5, and then this. All right. So this is a real game that occurred between two players a long time ago. Go like this. Yay! All right. So a couple 2600s, 2500s over the board. I believe this game was played over the board. So nope, this is a 3-minute game. This is a trash example, but it's something, and something is better than nothing, right? So this is like a 3-minute game. Let's see how this one went down. Here, and then let's see here. So he goes like this, pawn to H4. Now, interesting that on this move it's bad. And on the earlier move, it was necessary. Here, pawn to B4, kapow, knight A4, and then black plays what seems like a really decent move. Knight to E4. Turns out, total blunder. You know, 2500, 3-minute chess. You know, it makes sense that they would blunder. This was a blunder. They were supposed to just go like this, and then they're up the value of 2 pawns. Queen takes. You go like this, check. And then there, grabs. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. Let's see the rest of it. What have next? Here. I always like to look a little further. You know, no one's good at the end game because no one goes further. They always look at a couple moves and go like, oh, well, we'll just do that later. You know, it's like it'd be good to at least like just like expose yourself a little bit to what, you know, moves 20 through like 40 should look like according to the engine. You know, so Pareto principle: 80% of the value with 20% of the effort. Okay. Knight here to E4 was a mistake, and now he blunders right back. Turns out the right move was to go instead right here. I thought the reason for that was obvious. Now I'm forgetting what it was. Oh, yeah, it was. You can just go knight F2. That's just like an obvious fork. So he goes like this. He grabs there, blunder. Now here, this, bishop D7, pawn B3. Grabs, knight D7, and then white resigns. I believe white resigns right there. That was Ginger GM. I think he also does Chess Kid videos too. I was just watching one on destroying the defender. It's pretty good. He's got kind of a fun accent and engaging style and everything. I think he does chess.com videos too, but he lost this one, so dismiss everything he says. Let's go back to this. All right. So I said that if they go with this mistake, bishop here to H6, then you go pawn to B5, right? Okay, so what if instead they play it the right way and they go like this? Now they've done a couple things correct. They went bishop out to G5, and they did H4. So we're talking about like a pretty small percentage of players, right? But it could happen, so I would start with the best and work backwards. Pawn to H4, and then now the move is pawn to H5. Exclam. All right, game 1.2. So we'll go like this, Here's another example. This is between another couple 25, 2600s. Another blitz game looks like. Okay, so here h5, king to b1 is a mistake. How is that a mistake? Are you kidding me? Oh, and then there's a novelty here. You can go just bishop to e2 and just develop a piece. And then you only had a small disadvantage after bishop to f5. Yay! I'm like in 1900 finding novelties on move 12 and weird sidelines, so having fun with it. Okay, king b1, pawn to b5, knight to e5, and now pawn here to b4. Mistake? That sure does look like a natural move. Turns out instead, though, you want to go here. Up the value of a pawn and a half. Why? Why? What is happening? This. Now pawn b4. What was the difference? I don't understand things. I don't like things I don't understand. Okay, so what was the deal with that? Pawn b4 is bad. He goes knight a4. Okay, this was better. And then here, and then you go like this. Okay, knight c6. Rook over to e8, and you just leave the 10. Why would it not be good to push b4 there? I don't get it. I don't get it. I have no idea. But in the interest of momentum, I guess I'll just carry on. I don't know. This is why I record this stuff by myself. Usually. Okay, I'm hooked. I'm curious. I need to know this, or it's going to kill me. Okay, why is b4 a bad move? I guess I can turn on the engine. Let's figure this out here. Let's go like this. Okay. So, queen to d6 is the move. What's wrong with b4? After b4, they go like this. Queen d6 is a bad move, and now that white has the advantage all of a sudden. Oh, okay. I got it. Because of knight to c4. Aha! Now we got it. I knew I wanted to push forward. It was going to kill me if I didn't get that. The reason b4 is a mistake is that you really want to occupy this d6 square, and so you don't want to allow the knight to come here. So it's better to retain the control over here and like reserve the chance to go b4 for later. Neat. Learning all sorts of things. And that's what's cool about it. It's nice to like learn different ways that even, you know, GMs mess this stuff up, you know, because it's like I could see myself playing a move like that, you know, and it's okay. It's nice to be like, okay, well, theoretically, I could maybe 2500 and myself will make mistakes like this because they make mistakes like this. So you don't have to be perfect to be top dog. You just have to be 2500. Knight a4, queen here to d6, knight c4. White now does have the advantage. How does play proceed after this? Let's say it goes like this. Knight takes c5 here. White did win this. This went backwards. Here, queen to b7 blunder. He should have gone to a7. Yeah, so things went backwards. Basically, that was the key moment. Yeah, he lost this really quickly. Here, this comes over, this here, and now it's just not worth playing out, and he resigned. Or he didn't. I guess he played it out, but I decided to resign for him, and I ended the file there. So the key thing then, after knight to e5, was that moment. Okay, all right, neat. So what he should have done was this, and this would have been pretty much a winning spot for him. Here, this. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I've never seen that before. Like, you want the queen here, so you don't let the knight here. I cannot think of a comparable position where I've ever seen something like that before. Neato burrito. Here, yeah, and then this here. And then just kind of stopping the attack, not necessarily launching a really robust counterattack, but merely just getting to sort of an endgame, controlling the center, and then winning, I would presume, just in the endgame at some point? Yeah. Looks like that's the plan right here. Okay, so, to recap then, if they figure out they're supposed to go here, and this, the proper strategy is to, like, not counterattack, but instead go for h5, just neutralize the whole board, and then go for the endgame. Okay, so that was the tougher nuts to crack. What about this move here, bishop to c4, which most players do? Let's have a look. Bishop to c4, and then you go bishop to g7. Whoa. Castles, this, and then pawn h3 is a good move. Most players here doing Hope it's not annoying if I switch back and forth, but I would imagine you want to occasionally see the openings book thing. Yeah, check it out. So here, queen to e1 is the main move that players are doing right here. 40% likelihood on that one there. So again, like, my theory about why g6 works better is it's just tougher for white to know what to do, which is kind of a universal thing in the opening. If you play a variation of an opening where they're required to play it way differently than they normally do, generally that can favor you really, really well. And so that's my thinking on this. I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than that, but it just seems like white's screwing this up on the reg. Pawn to h3 is the move. How often is that move played? 5.6% of the time. So data, yay. All right, so if they go like queen to e1, which is a really common move, you go like this, queen to h4. Oh, I have an over-the-board game example for this one. This is a good example. Bishop here, this comes up, and now you do pawn to e6. So the player doing this one was just knocking it out of the park. This is an over-the-board game. Let's see here. Black wins this game in a rather iconic manner in the endgame using the extra f-pawn. Kind of cool. That's the way he wins. It's like, neat. There's justice in chess. Yes, he gave up the next to the pawn. We're going to use that pawn and win. You would think in theory games may end that way. It's nice to see an example of like what that might actually look like. Also worthy of note, his play throughout the opening was basically perfection. It is really top notch. Just like back to back. Check this out. Queen to e1, knight to c6, exclam. I give him a series of exclams because like it's not an obvious move. Knight c6. You kidding me? You're gonna play that move for sure? No. You're gonna think about here. You're gonna think about c5. You're gonna think about this. Okay, this comes over here. Now bishop to g4. Okay, so just like attacking right here straight away. So we go like this. Pawn to e6. Saying, yeah, I'm not concerned. This f6 square. How are you gonna get to f6? I got this on lockdown. Rook a to d1, dubious move. Knight to e7, another exclam. How about that? So he loads up on d4, and then once black commits everything to defending it, then he's like, psych, skirt, and he like goes this way. I'm gonna go back to my other layout. This one, I think it's much prettier. So we're gonna do it like this. But in case you're curious, I'm also kind of reading the notes on the right. Okay, bishop here to g5, and then now we do knight to f5. Just nailing it. Every single move here. After this, queen here to f2, and then we go like this, pawn to c6, just locking it down there on d5, just completely shutting down everything white was trying to do with this attack. So I guess it makes sense, right? Like white's attack comes on so fast that like rather than try to like counterattack, it would make sense that you kind of like defend it and get like huddled up essentially, and then you just wait until it dies out. I don't know. Knight e4, and then here. So in this position, everything wins. You have bishop takes f3, bishop g7, bishop e7, even the really odd looking bishop to h4. Every single one of these wins. So for that reason, I gave him no exclam. No exclam can be had for a move where everything wins. Bishop takes f3. There was also an alternative line here. Let's look at this one really quick. So this is more natural looking. I thought this was the move. It works just as fine. Here, this knight d6, trading off some pieces. Push on the queen side, open up the a file. And then what's happening now? We're just gonna... Okay, so if you slow down the attack enough, then you do actually want to circle back sometimes and, play for stuff on the queen side. Cool, good to know. After right here, then here takes, queen takes, here grabs, queen to g5. Again, all these moves, like top-notch stuff. Pawn to c5. Oh no, he does make errors. It happens. I think it was just like rook over or something, but his opponent quickly returns the mistake and goes like, oh no, that's right, it was because now you can do pawn d5, which is for some reason a common theme in this opening I've observed, is that when the c pawn gets pushed, you want to push the pawn to d5 there as white more often than not. So his opponent goes like this, now he goes here takes, and then one of the many trials and toils and difficulties of chess, the bane of like chess player's existence, where do you place the rooks in this type of situation? Did you guess it's impossible, don't bother? You would be right. That's what this player did, and then he made a dubious move. Doesn't that look right? I mean, it sure does look right. But the more natural-looking move here was actually the way to go. You should have gone like this, just like a hair better. All right, so what's the plan after that? Because the thing is, then you can't go to the C file. You see what I mean? Like, it's like, if you ask any top player about this, and like I'm sure that they would have some thoughts on it. Like, it is sort of an interesting dilemma that comes up frequently, because you can easily lose a lot of time trying to decide if this rook should go right here or here. Seems to me a lot of times you got to gamble. I don't know. I would love to hear some like principles and like how you would discern between those, you know. I don't know him. He goes this way. He should have gone this way. Let's just see an example what that would have looked like. This here. I mean, you gotta just basically like have like brass balls. I feel like to play against this opening, it's a series of defensive moves and just painstakingly waiting it out for the end game. And then this is similar to the game, so we'll just return to the game. Here, pawn to d5, this, there. Here, grab's not quite as great. And then here, common plight of players who, like, knock it out of the park early on is that, of course, they're going to do a little bit worse later on because they're out of time and everything. Rook to d1, and then he goes like this. Interesting move. Seems like he had an alternative, I guess. Bishop, rook to c8. Bishop takes b7. Good move. We go like this, trading away some stuff. We're now no longer actually up on pawns. I think he gets the pawn back, though. Somehow, yeah, right here. He gets the pawn right back. And then, how does he win this? Well, he's got this extra f-pawn. Da-da-da-da. Yay! Let's see how he uses it. So, king f8. This comes up. King e7 here, this, there. Dubious move. Knight to e3 check. Not trying to win the g2 pawn. It is still guarded. So, where's the knight going? It's going to g4 to pass through this pawn into moving. And then it shimmies back over here to e5. So we've provoked them to move on the side where they're like the minority and we're the majority. Like, if you have a majority of pawns, you don't want if it's like a 3-on-2 situation like this, and you're the one with 2 pawns, you don't want to like push because then you accelerate how fast they get a pass pawn. So black has done a nifty little combination to force white to do just that. So there, and then pawn to f5. I sure would think that's a good move. Really, Stockfish? Stockfish is harsh. Stockfish is like very harsh. You'd think you wouldn't have to like double check that. Are you kidding me? That's a dubious move. What else are you gonna play here, Stockfish? Stockfish is like, well, you know, just pawn f6, just wait it out for no reason. Why does that make sense, Stockfish? I talked to it. Stockfish is my best friend. What do you guys do on the weekends? No. Knight c6. I don't get it, but I'm fascinated. Where is this going? Why was this worth the wait? Now he pushes it. Okay, all right. I mean, I guess white's position's kind of frozen, so I guess he had the time to do it, but just waiting a little bit more to kind of polish up the position of these guys. Cool. Let's keep it going. So pawn takes. This comes up. Pawn h6. King e3. We bring back this guy. Exclam. King to d4. Blunder. And then we go like this. Tag the pawn. Again, I'm just really impressed with how black played this. Like, this was, like, immaculate, basically. He took down, 2,400. Bishop d3, dubious move. Now we go like this. And then, in a way, it's a bit of a walk in the park, maybe, because it's like you have a pass pawn. But, I don't know. I just want to see the rest of it anyway. So here, this. But that knight is having all sorts of fun. My goodness. Okay, and then you're going to win this guy and all that good stuff. Cool. All right, so then we go back like so. And that was the line if they went for bishop to c4, and then they went like this. And then, let's see here. That was the line if they went queen to e1. Yeah. All right, and then the last one is if they go h3. So they play a dubious move, and then they play a good move. So I have one more example of that. And then I'm done. Yay! And I get to go back to playing blitz chess. Woohoo! Here we go. So, in this spot here, it goes pawn to h3, good move. This is between a 2,500 and a 2,200. Trying to pick like high-rated examples. This one, pawn to a3, dubious. Knight to e8, dubious. Yeah, I did not see this move come up in any of the games looked at so far. It does seem like primarily you want to retain the option for this guy to go here. So that seems bizarre. I don't know why he did that. E6 was a clear winner, with the following moves being suggested once again by Stockfish. You want to be really patient. It seems like as black, you just gotta really kind of wait it out, because you don't get the satisfaction of knowing like, yeah, I stopped them until like move 30 or something. It seems like the majority of the time it seems like you're just sweating bullets. Whew. All right, and then apparently we're winning there or something. Okay, knight to e8, and then after this, now we go pawn to d5, knight d6. Okay, little funky sauce doing this. No need for that. What is this? Knight b8. Oh my goodness, this is an over the board game. This is no timers. So here, queen to e1, inaccuracy. Whatever. Knight f6, pawn h6. Okay, and then pawn a5. I don't know if this is the best shining example of it, but again, something's better than nothing, right? Especially with sidelines, you can't necessarily find, with really obscure stuff, it's a lot harder to find good examples. Pawn to b5, knight into d2, bishop e8. Wow, just like team huddle over here, right? Wow. And like, this is not good, by the way. White is definitely doing really well right now. Who wins this? White. White does win this. So this ended up backfiring. So this is an example of like, to White's credit, they definitely can pull ahead if you drop the ball. So this is going to depict that. We got here this, pawn c6, queen f2, rook b8, blunder. It's an over the board game, like I said. This. Holy smokes, that's a big attack. That's over. That's very, very over. Whew. That was rough. Okay. So in summary, watch my YouTube video, and you can just watch the whole thing again, and then make your own summary. Yay! Or not. I don't know. I can also just go back and review that one more time. So, oh, I actually have one more thing to show. Okay, so the computer move that it suggested it wanted to do was to go c6 really early, right? So it said that objectively, according to the engine, c6 is the best move. So I'd like to make a case for like why that's not so simple over the board, and I think it really has to do with the fact that White's moves are incredibly easier to find. What happened? Okay, c6, and then now after this, then bishop to d3. Here h3, grabs. Queen takes is a good move. Here you got to do this check, and then you go here and then there. So far, how difficult was that for White to play? Like, how hard of a time would they have had finding those moves? You know, still, it's like none of these moves seem difficult for White. So here, this, and I have a game example that kind of demonstrates this. So sometimes you don't want to play what is considered objectively the best. All right, this is a 2200 against a 2000. So, all right, this here, queen a5, queen f2. Mistake. Turns out bishop to f4 was better. So I guess it gets a little bit more difficult to play later. This here. You know, one thing I noticed about this example is that black seems to be messing this up by trying to get a counterattack going. This doesn't, the Blackmar Gambit stuff doesn't seem to be the kind of opening where the solution is to counterattack. It seems to be an extreme example of when you just want to like lock it down and defend